Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the intense wildfire crisis that hit Crete in early July 2025. This wasn't just, a small fire. It was actually one of Greece's most severe recently, happening right smack in the middle of that record-breaking heat wave across Europe. It caused huge evacuations.
Exactly. And our aim here, for you listening, is to really break down what happened, put it in that wider climate picture, and see what it tells us about, well, the challenges we're all facing and how ready we really are for this hotter world.
So let's start with how it ignited. How did it get so bad so fast? It really kicked off near Petra, didn't it? July 2nd.
That's right, southeastern Crete. And the conditions were just brutal. You had temperatures consistently up over 35 degrees Celsius, winds gusting, up to 80 kilometers an hour.
Wow, 80 kilometer.
Yeah, and really low humidity, critically low.
Okay, so the classic dangerous mix.
But it wasn't just those few days. This is key. You had a really long dry spell beforehand, winter and spring. So the vegetation, the pine forests, the scrubland near Agiphodia, Mokapsala, it was incredibly dry, tinder dry, really. So the fires just ripped through it, created multiple fronts, spread over 6 kilometers wide, and bam, they were hitting populated areas very, very quickly.
And that speed obviously led to the evacuations. The scale sounds enormous, over 5,000 people in just 3 days.
Yeah, July 2nd to the 4th, over 5,000. And think about this, about 1,200 of those were international tourists.
That adds another layer of complexity, surely.
Absolutely. You're talking about major areas like Petra itself, Aklia, Firma, Agiphotia, Katsunari too. It was a massive logistical exercise.
How did they manage it? Buses?
Buses, yes, but also boats. Even sea rescue operations were involved. They set up temporary shelter, too. About 200 people ended up in an indoor stadium in Petra. But one thing that really stood out, technically speaking, was the use of the 112 emergency number.
Ah, the system that sends alerts straight to phones.
Exactly. Pushing messages directly into the danger zones. That kind of almost instant communication, incredibly vital in a fast-moving crisis like this.
Okay, so the alert goes out. What about the response on the ground? Sounds like they threw a lot at it.
They did. We're talking 230 firefighters, 46 fire trucks, 10 water-dropping aircraft and helicopters. A significant deployment.
And was this just Greek resources, or...?
No, and this is really important. This whole thing happened within the framework of the EU's summer wildfire plan. So you already had 650 firefighters from 14 different European countries pre-positioned in the region.
Pre-positioned, so ready to go.
Pretty much. We saw teams from Bulgaria and Romania providing direct help very quickly. Plus, the EU has its own standing fleet, 22 planes, 4 helicopters ready for deployment. It really showed that kind of European solidarity in action.
That's good to hear. But this wasn't happening in isolation, was it? You mentioned the heat wave.
Right. This Crete fire was tragically part of that much bigger picture across Europe in summer 2025. That heat wave itself, devastating. At least 350 heat-related deaths across the continent.
350. Where were the worst impacts?
Well, Spain was hit incredibly hard. 341 deaths reported there alone. Then you had fatalities in France, Italy, and Turkey also saw deaths. 2 fatalities from similar wildfires there.
And back in Crete, what were the direct health impacts beyond the evacuations? Smoke must have been a huge issue.
Definitely. At least 4 people were hospitalized specifically for smoke inhalation. And the Greek public health body, EODY, they put out warnings highlighting the risks, eye irritation, breathing problems, making existing conditions like asthma much worse. It's especially tough on kids and the elderly. So yeah, the health impacts go way beyond the flames themselves.
Okay, so health impacts, huge evacuations. What about the economic side? Tourism is massive for Greece, right?
Huge. Around 20% of GDP, roughly. So evacuating 5,000 people, including 1,200 tourists, that hits hard.
Hotels closing, cancellations.
Exactly. The vice president of the Greek Tourism Confederation, Panagiotis Tokouzis, he called it a wave of booking cancellations, the estimate. Somewhere between, say, 300,000 and maybe over 500,000 lost tourist nights. A significant blow.
That really shows the vulnerability.
It does. And Professor Christos Serafos, a leading climate scientist, he's warned that the climate crisis could, in the long run, cost Greece something like 700 billion euros. It's staggering.
And the Mediterranean is particularly at risk.
Yeah, it's often called a wildfire hotspot, partly because Europe is warming up twice as fast as the global average. And these frequent, intense fires, they can actually permanently change the ecosystems, making them even more vulnerable next time. It's a worrying cycle.
So, faced with this kind of reality, what's the plan? Is Greece adapting, preparing for more of this?
Well, they are definitely stepping up efforts. It's not just reactive. They boosted their firefighting force up by 20% to 18,000 people.
That's a big increase.
It is. And more equipment, too. 300 and 700 vehicles now, including 270 brand new ones. And drones, they've nearly doubled their drone bases from 45 to 80.
Drones for spotting fires early?
Exactly. Equipped with thermal cameras for early detection, catching them before they get out of control. And technologically, there's a really groundbreaking move. Greece invested 20 million euros in something called Aurora Tech satellite technology.
Wartech, what's that?
It's basically building their own national wildfire satellite system. They're the first country to do it. 4 thermal satellites dedicated to detecting fires across the whole country, pretty much in real time.
Wow, real-time satellite detection nationwide. That sounds like a game changer.
It could be. It's all about that early warning, that prevention. It's part of a bigger national program they call AIGS, aimed at modernizing the whole civil protection system.
So summing up this Crete wildfire crisis, it really feels like a powerful, maybe terrifying snapshot of the climate challenges the Mediterranean is facing right now. A clear sign of our changing world.
Absolutely. And it hammers home, doesn't it, just how vital that international cooperation is, but also the need for constant proactive investment. We need better prevention, better adaptation strategies for what's coming.
So a final thought maybe for you listening. What does Crete's ordeal really teach us about how we, our societies, our natural world need to adapt and get ready for a future that seems, well, increasingly fiery? And what kind of global action does this crisis really scream out for? Something to think about.